Good evening, India. This is Explosive Exclusive. After the Allahabad High Court ordered the ASI, the Archaeological Survey of India, to conduct a scientific survey on the structure the Hindu side claims was a Shivling, the petition was filed last week seeking an ASI survey on the entire Gyanvapi Complex. The Muslim side has now filed a reply in the Varanasi District Court, and in their bid to oppose the ASI survey, the Muslim side has given their endorsement and Cleanchit to Mughal invader and tyrant Aurangzeb. They claim that Adi Vishweshwar temple was never demolished by Aurangzeb. They do not stop here. They claim, and they say that the claim was only made by the Hindu side to create a discord. In this affidavit that we have a copy of, they assert that the structure found in Gyanvapi Mosque last year was not a Shivling but is a fountain, and there's no reason to call for a survey. Before we go any further, and Siddharth Talia will be joining us just to counter the Muslim side with documents which have proof. In fact, Siddharth is through. Let's begin with Siddharth. Siddharth, this flies in the face of what has been documented history for a long time now.
Absolutely, Pranesh. In fact, it's quite a shocking claim coming from the Muslim side, which has submitted a sworn affidavit in front of the Varanasi court in this matter that Aurangzeb had not issued any farman or a diktat ordering the destruction of temples, including the Kashi Vishwanath temple. Another shocking claim that they make was Aurangzeb was not nirdayi. That's the specific word that they used, that he was not cruel. However, let's in fact look at one piece of evidence that is likely to be produced now by the Hindu side among a whole host of other voluminous material that they would have already accumulated in order to prove their case. One, of course, is the fact that in 1965, the Uttar Pradesh government published a gazette which categorically claims that Aurangzeb had in fact issued instructions to the effect of destroying the Kashi Vishwanath temple. Let's in fact take you through the operative excerpt. This is on page 57 of that particular gazette, Pranesh, and we're talking about 1965. It says, and I quote, on April 9th, 1669, Aurangzeb issued order to the provincial governor for the demolition of Hindu temples and schools, which the Faujdar of Varanasi carried out by pulling down a number of temples in the city, including those of Vishwanath and Bindu Madhava. A mosque was built on the site of each, two high minarets being built on one. Aurangzeb also renamed the city Mohammadabad, and coins issued from the mine here also bear his name. The new name, however, did not gain currency but was used only officially, more or less going out of use with the emperor's death. So this is a categorical counter, Pranesh, to the claims being made in the affidavit filed by the Muslim side that Aurangzeb did not issue any such diktat. In fact, this completely counters that claim and says that such a diktat had not only been issued, it was also carried out on the ground by Aurangzeb's subordinates upon his instructions.
This is the 1965 UP Gazette here, and Siddharth just read out the excerpt. Vishnu Jain also joining us. Mr. Jain, thank you for speaking to Times Now. Your thoughts on this?
See, I think the affidavit filed by Anjuman Intizamiya is completely against the historical background of the case. If someone will go through and read the pages of Majlis-e Alamgiri, which was written by the court masters of Aurangzeb, it is specifically mentioned that Aurangzeb had passed an order for demolition of Vishwanath temple at Banaras, and after his passing orders, his commanders had actually carried out those orders and reported to him that the temple at Vishwanath has been demolished. So it is this affidavit is against the historical record, and therefore this is a disputed question of fact, and that's why we have asked for an ASI survey to look and inquire into the question that whether Aurangzeb had built a mosque on a plain and barren land, or whether any pre-existing temple was demolished and destroyed, and over and above that it was used as a mosque in a present scenario. So this is the precise question. That is why we have filed an application seeking ASI, which has an evidentiary value under Section 45 of the Indian Evidence Act, and therefore this expert evidence is required for proper adjudication of the matter in issue.
How will this play out in the court? Because the Muslim side is not just giving a clean chit to Aurangzeb, they are also saying that the claim made by the Hindu side will create communal tension, communal discord.
See, according to me, every time playing this victim card will not help in the legal battle, because the fact of the matter is that the case is before the Honorable Court, and the issue is that whether Aurangzeb has demolished any temple or whether he has constructed a mosque on a plain or barren land. And the case of Muslims have been throughout of a case of a approbate and reprobate case, because they sometimes say that Aurangzeb has constructed this mosque. Sometimes they say that they don't know when this work was created. So all along, when I have been in this entire proceedings, I have seen that they have always contradicted themselves. So obviously they will give a clean chit to Aurangzeb, but ultimately the fact of the matter is that we are before the Honorable District Court of Varanasi, and we will read all the evidences as per Section 57 of the Indian Evidence Act. All the historical books will be brought before the court, and ultimately it's the court who has to give clean chit to Aurangzeb or not. It is not. It doesn't matter at all whether Muslim side, whatever Muslim side say before the court. It can be a part of their defense, but ultimately it has to be adjudicated by the Honorable Court.
Are you surprised by this denial and this whitewashing of Aurangzeb's tyranny by the Muslim side? Were you expecting this kind of a response?
No. We are not surprised, because we have continuously seen the stand taken by the Muslim side when the case is so glaring, when the western side of the so-called mosque, so-called Gyanvapi mosque, is completely glaring fact. This says that it's a demolished structure of a Hindu temple if they are not ready to accept it. When Shivling is found in the Bazu area, they are not ready to accept it. When we ask for ASI investigation of the Shivling, they come to the Supreme Court and get the matter stalled. So it is all these things go and prove to show that they don't have a case, and therefore we are continuously asking, and I'm repeating it on your channel, that ASI survey is required for the entire premises to investigate into the truth, and when the ASI will go and investigate the Gyanvapi premises, that truth will come out, and it can be only decided by way of an expert evidence.
Thank you, Vishnu Jain. Thank you for speaking to Times Now and putting this in context. Let's open this up. Ratan Sharda, Deshratan Nigam, Kamruzaman Chaudhary, Atikur Rahman on the show. Good evening, gentlemen. Ratan Sharda, Aurangzeb wasn't cruel. He did not demolish any mandir, says this affidavit.
After many days, I was as good as, LOL, laughing aloud. Because this joke that is being played upon the Hindus and also upon the Muslims actually is really a joke. I'm surprised that these people are speaking this language. They are denying the history written by the Masrai Alamgiri. They are denying the history written by Mughal courtiers like Muhammad Hashim. They are denying French and British historians who are more inclined towards Muslims. And they are denying everything. The problem is, this shows the problem what is that the Muslim leaders still identify themselves with the Mughal invaders, the Timurids, of which only 0.001% would have some blood of those Mughals, but all others are converts from India, and they have no reason to identify with the invaders. By trying to identify themselves as invaders, they are creating problems. They are stalling justice to Hindus. 1,000-year-old pain of the Hindus of being mangled, invaded, raped, killed, their properties, their temples destroyed. If they want very small justice to overcome this particular sense of grief, there is no reason the Muslim brothers should oppose it and try to create this kind of situation which they did for Ram Temple. Initial demand is very simple: Mathura, Kashi and Ayodhya. They kept on stalling the obvious, and this is why there is problem. The day these Muslims understand that the Muslim leaders are trying to lead them astray, and their goodwill is only by staying with their own brethren who like them have nothing to do with the Mughals, the problems would be solved. But unfortunately, the leaders are such, self-proclaimed leaders are such, they want to create problems, they want to create a sense of uncertainty and sense of resentment in the Hindu society, and thereby frighten the Muslim community. And it's time we break that shackle.
Okay.
And to have this straight face to deny the very history on which they worship their Aurangzeb and go to their Kabar, I think that is highly humorous, and it's a joke, cruel joke actually. Audrey Tushkal will be very, very, very happy today. I can just say that.
Atikur Rahman, wasn't Aurangzeb cruel, sir?
Pranesh, 1,000 times I have told you on the same panel, Mr. Ratan Shah knows it, Aurangzeb was a bigot. What Aurangzeb did in the 16th century, the BJP and the Sangh elements want to do it today in the presence of the Constitution of India. I am placing my claims on the Gyanvapi only on the sole evidence of the 1991 Places of Worship Act. I do not understand why the Muslim...
That question about Gyanvapi, let the courts decide. I am only asking you to adjudicate the character of Aurangzeb. He was cruel. The Muslim side in its affidavit is saying he wasn't cruel. He was not even an invader. He did not demolish
But
Hindu
why
temples.
I ask you, Pranesh, why this, gimmickry and a charade with the judiciary in India? Why are we wasting the judiciary's time? It's a simple proposition that the government of India, the mighty Modi Sarkar, either amends or repeats the 1991 Places of Worship Act, and there you go. It's your mandir. There is no Gyanvapi mosque. The historian Irfan Habib have established that Aurangzeb broke it. It's a historical evidence. Nobody can deny it. Why are we playing with this gimmickry on the part of
Who's playing, sir? The Anjuman Intizamiya Committee is playing, sir. I agree with every word that you've said. No, I agree. No, I agree about your point about the Places of Worship Act.
Stop this fraud in the name of judiciary. Go ahead.
Okay,
with the
Kamru Zaman
document.
Chaudhary, do you agree with what Atikur Rahman is saying?
Yeah, basically there are 2 points to the entire episode out here. First and foremost, Pranesh, I don't know whether we are in contempt of court to be judgmental out here and decide what's the future of the Gyanvapi mosque. And,
listen, Mr. Chaudhary, we are not here to decide the future of Gyanvapi, that the honorable courts will do. We are only talking about the affidavit filed by the Muslim side, that Aurangzeb was a great man.
I'm coming to that, Pranesh, if you permit me. Because since you have given the introductory, what you call this, the of the lawyer, the statements of the lawyer of the Gyanvapi dispute. That's why I said here whether we need to discuss this at all in live television channels and what purpose it serves. This is one point. Second point is out here is, Pranesh, you see 350 years ago what Aurangzeb did to Gyanvapi, to other places of worships in India. How are the present day Muslims or present day worshippers of Islam responsible for that? Don't you think that in a plural country, in a secular country like India, such dispute should not have gone into the court itself? The basic point here is that the premise here is that the Aurangzeb had done something wrong. Maybe he did not do it. Nobody knows for certain.
No, done something wrong मतलब कमरू जमान चौधरी, समथिंग रॉन्ग मतलब क्या? उन्होंने क्या किसी को ट्रैफिक सिग्नल वायलेट कर दिया? लाइट वाज रेड, ही मूव्ड अहेड, क्या किया उन्होंने? वाज ड्राइविंग विदाउट अ ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस, क्या समथिंग रॉन्ग क्या है सर? प्लीज एलैबोरेट.
No, then you see, if you are to discuss and correct the history that 350 years ago happened in India, then we have got a right to know what happened there. But do we have a authority and the right to correct that history out here in 2023? That is the basic question.
Okay, let's put that basic question to Deshratan Nigam.
No, let me finish, please. Pranesh,
Okay, make your point.
That's why we brought in the Places of Worship Act, such that this type of claims are not raised other than the Ram Mandir issue. We all settled with the Ram Mandir issue. Yeah, each and every Muslims of India accepted the judgment that had came out of the Supreme Court. Now, do you expect the entire Mandir Masjid issue to eat up our India's developmental future in coming up?
But how is it eating our development future? No, I don't agree with that argument, and I'm sure Deshratan Nigam has an answer to that. Side has gone into denial after dismissing the Shivling as stone. They have given a clean chit to Aurangzeb. Deshratan Nigam, you heard the arguments. What's your take on this?
In fact, I think historical perspective has been clearly stated by Mr. Ratan Sharda, and the author of Nasiri Alamgiri was Saki Mustaq Khan, who was officially commissioned by Aurangzeb to write that official history, and he has clearly stated that the Kashi Vishwanath temple was demolished on the orders and commands of Aurangzeb, and thousands of other temples were also demolished. There was a general order as well, and renovated Somnath temple was also demolished. And to say that he was not cruel is just something saying certain lies. And also, Guru Tegh Bahadur was executed, so many others were executed, Jizya was imposed, Hindus was executed. And I can understand, I think lot many Muslims do not trace their ancestry from Aurangzeb. There are few, like in the committee who filed that affidavit in the Varanasi court, where they are lying on oath, despite the official history available.
Lying on oath. Ratan Sharda, quick comment, sir.
Can I come in for
sure,
the
sure, make your point.
Legal aspect. Now, Places of Worship Act 1991 itself carved out an exception where it says the Places of Worship Act will not apply if the concerned monument is historical and ancient and more than 100 years old. This Kashi Vishwanath temple, not more than 100 years old. It's so visible, and also, their exception is very clear in the very same section 3. It is very clear that exception has also been provided. And even otherwise, the constitutionality of 1991 is under challenge in the Supreme Court, which will probably be heard sooner or later.
Okay, don't have much time on the show. 30 seconds to you, Ratan Sharda.
Just 20 seconds. I just want to respond to Kabaruji. He has agreed to my point that why are today's Muslims being, pointed out as something that was done by Timurids. That is my point. Why should Muslims feel aggrieved when you are trying to get some justice done against what was done by Timurids and these Mughals and all these people? They don't belong to them exactly. And how does, when 5 lakh or more mosques are there in India, the mosque which is the temples, the 3 temples which are more dear, the most sacred gods of Hindu Dharma, why should you insist on those 3 mosques, which are the 3rd temples and mosque, and try to create a grievance? There is no grievance. You have nothing to do with them. So just leave them alone. Simple solution. We are also saying the same thing that Kamruji is saying. But you say, I will not call for justice, but others can call for justice. Hagia Sophia can be converted. Does Kamruji agree that Hagia Sophia was turned into a mosque was a right or wrong decision? None of the seculars spoke against it. None of the liberals spoke against them. So one law for the goose and one law for the gender. That's what it is.
Let's see how this unfolds in the court. We've run out of time. I thank all of you for joining us.